Hello and welcome to Intoxicated Masculinity, coming at you today with a little review. And first, kind of a note, I had been doing previously talking about the horror stuff that I watched all month at the end of the month, and I opened up a new bottle of whiskey. I kind of don't think that's really working, and plus I have to wait to the end of the month to talk about movies, and I don't really like that. So instead I'm going to change things up, and I'm going to watch movies kind of as close to when I see them as I can. So today we're going to talk about M3gan.
Katie, you lost your parents.
Welcome home.
You're my niece. I'm going to do everything I can to make this place feel like home.
I've got another one coming up that you should see hopefully within a few days. But today we're talking about M3gan, a movie that I think works pretty well. I don't think this is perfect, and I think it's certainly got a few flaws to it, but I think overall, in the sort of killer doll franchise, I think this does very, very well.
You should probably run.
It's a very welcome successor to the Child's Play series. I think there's been a lot of kind of bad killer doll movies. I grew up on the Full Moon films, where there is certainly some good and some bad in that particular genre. First, before I get into the movie, I guess I should talk a little bit about it. I think this movie has been promoted very, very well, and I think most people have seen the trailers for it, but it is a little girl who loses her family
I'm not equipped to handle this. I don't even take care of my own plants.
and moves in with her aunt. And is very depressed, as one would be. And her aunt works for I don't know why I'm saying aunt like that. Her aunt goes to live with her aunt, and her aunt is a developer of toys, specifically dolls.
This project at work, do you want to see?
Yes.
And she has an experimental doll named M3gan. I don't remember what it's M3gan. I don't remember exactly what that means in the movie. You don't have to remember; it's not important. And so, to sort of help the little girl get over her depression, and also to help push her product, she activates M3gan.
This is M3gan.
Hi, M3gan. I'm Katie. It's nice to meet you, Katie. Do you want to hang out?
And has her daughter, or excuse me, her niece, Katie, sort of be her primary user, and M3gan, kills people, because that's what killer dolls do.
M3gan, turn off.
So first off, this movie was written by Akila Cooper, and when I look at her writing credits, there's some really good stuff there. She wrote for Luke Cage. She wrote for Strange New Worlds, both of which series I like a lot. She wrote for American Horror Story. American Horror Story can be a bit of a mixed bag. She wrote for Avengers Assemble, which is a cartoon that I think is actually quite good. But then she also wrote Malignant, which I don't remember if I talked about on the channel, but I very much disliked that movie. I thought the humor didn't work, but I think the humor works here. So, you give credit where credit is due. And I hope that going forward, her writing is a lot more like this and less like Jupiter's Legacy or Malignant. The director is Gerard Johnstone, and I actually watched. I'm going to kind of briefly digress here. His previous directing experience was a movie called Housebound from 2014. I just watched that movie sort of in preparation for watching M3gan, and I thought that movie is really fun. It's sort of a little tongue-in-cheek. You can see sort of how we get into this movie. It's about a woman who is doing a robbery with her boyfriend to somewhat hilarious results, and is forced to live with her mother and her mother's, I don't know if they say it's her husband or her boyfriend, with an ankle bracelet, and she does not get along well with her mother. And also, maybe there's demons or ghosts or something. I'm not going to give away anything about how what actually is going on in the movie, but they do a very good job of sort of balancing the horror and the humor. I think the horror is a little more paramount and the humor is a little more background, but they really sort of walk that line very well. So M3gan is very similar to Housebound in that I think the horror is a little more primary, but there's a lot of, the horror is much more primary, but the humor is very much there. I think some of the looks M3gan gives is very good. The special effects people that created that character did a really, really great job. I think it looks great. The movie has a few flaws. It's not perfect. There are certain things where you kind of like, is that a thing? Like, did they do that? but I think it's a fun killer doll horror movie, and you're gonna have that a little bit. And I think overall they do a really good job. I had a great time with it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think if I'm giving this a grade, it's probably like a minus. I think very enjoyable. I'll probably go back to it at some point. Yeah, just a good movie. So definitely a recommend for me. Check out M3gan. It's in theaters. I should mention this movie had a budget of. I don't like to talk too much about money, but unfortunately, in the Hollywood business, money is kind of important. In this case, the movie is budgeted at, I am told, around $12 million. It opened at $30 million. If you know something about the way Hollywood does things, the advertising budget is sort of, for shorthand, generally thought of as being about what the production budget is. So if that's the case here, which I don't know whether it was or not, this movie was advertised fairly heavily. That means the total budget for this movie is $24 million, which means it made back its money basically on opening weekend. It is currently at $61 million domestically, and it's getting close to breaking $100 million internationally or globally. So this movie's been a big hit, and this is a Blumhouse picture, and if you know anything about Blumhouse, this is sort of their MO. Sort of develop fairly good, relatively. I use relatively a lot here because $12 million to me is not a small amount of money. But when you look at most Hollywood pictures today, 12 million is, it's Avatar's catering budget. Maybe not even that. And put out a really good product, and I think really get the job done. So, yeah, very definite recommend. Not perfect, a few flaws, but overall I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. So, go see M3gan.
I won't let anything harm you.